Our final project was based on palm oil plantations and how they interact with the population densities of Asian elephants in Sumatra. Palm oil is the most widely consumed vegetable oil on the planet, coming in the forms of cooking spray, chocolate, ice cream, and many others. Oil palm plantations have sprung up in Sumatra, effectively taking over the natural landscape. Since 1985, 50% of Sumatra's wild forests have been destroyed due to forest clearance for palm oil. This has been very harmful to the area's largest animal, the Sumatran elephant. They have lost around 70% of their natural habitat and their population has declined by 50%. This is due to the loss of natural habitat and increased agricultural human-elephant conflicts, and some of these methods humans have used to deter elephants from their properties are harmful and include shooting, trapping, poisonous bait, and beehive fences. Oil palm plantations and the industry have good and bad angles. They can support farmers' lives and provide us with an array of necessary products, as well as there are sustainable palm oil options where they reuse the fields instead. However, oil palm plantations cause massive deforestation, and the slash and burn method is especially harmful because they burn forests to the ground and slash the rest of the trees down for new plantations. This destroys habitats and kills many animals trapped in the fires. The creation of new plantations increases conflict between humans and animals and decreases forest diversity overall. Asian elephants are important to their rainforest ecosystems because they operate as a keystone species, specifically ecosystem engineers by opening canopies for new growth and foraging multiple plant species. Humans and elephants have had a long relationship and are important culturally, but recently because of agricultural conflicts due to elephants destroying and eating crops, this relationship is strained and elephants are disappearing rapidly. For the inductive reasoning for our project, we have observed that oil palm plantations have created conflicts with elephants. More conflicts means that more elephants are killed, and more palm oil plantations means reduced elephant populations and a suffering ecosystem. Our research hypothesis is the presence of palm oil plantations in Sumatra negatively affects Asian elephant population densities surrounding these plantations because of the increased danger from human-animal conflict over agricultural resources. So therefore, shown in this little graphic below, the more palm oil plantations, the lower Asian elephant population densities will be around the site.
The critical test is essentially the experiment itself or directed study that leads to a determination of the validity of our research hypothesis as stated in the previous slide. So basically we want to test to see if that inverse relationship we hypothesized, it will be supported by our test. And so how we're going to be conducting this critical test is by analyzing the relationship between elephant populations and their relative locations to these palm oil sites. And how we're going to do this, you might ask? We're going to calculate the population densities within each plot and then compare the results. So to calculate population density, we're going to count the number of elephants around a site and then divide it by the size of the land area. In this case, we're going to be using acres. The study sites we'll be using will vary in size. First, we're going to set up 50 plots both near and far from a palm oil plantation. The near plots will be between 1 to 3 acres of each palm oil plantation, and the far plots will be between 3 to 6 acres from each palm oil plantation, so a little bit more range. Then, we're going to randomly select 25 plots and collect data by counting the number of Asian elephants, like we talked about when we discussed our population density equation in the previous slide. And just for reference, here's a map of the location of palm oil plantation sites in 2015. And as we can see within the oval in Sumatra and Indonesia, that the palm oil plantation sites indicated in green are also all throughout Sumatra. It is mostly along the coast up in the north, and also ranges down the central area of the land.
Our assumptions for our experiment is that no individuals move across different plots. Another assumption is that individuals are not recounted by observers. Our third assumption is that no individuals are missed by the observer. Another assumption is that there is going to be a sufficient number of plots to give an accurate read of population densities. And our last assumption is that no palm oil plantation is close enough to overlap each other in the near and far distance categories. For our predictions, if our research hypothesis is correct, then we should be able to observe in our critical test that there is an increase in elephant population density the farther we move away from palm oil plantations. An alternative hypothesis that might explain the increase in elephant populations the farther away from palm oil plantations is that elephant population densities are lower the closer to palm oil plantations because it is not a suitable habitat. Another alternative hypothesis is that there are increased poaching incidents that are the main cause for elephants staying away. And our last alternative hypothesis is that oil palm trees are not nutritious enough for elephants to pursue for foraging, so it makes sense that they wouldn't stick around where there's not good food. If our hypothesis is correct, then elephant population densities are negatively impacted by proximity to palm oil plantations due to human-animal conflict. This means that this research will be important for the future elephant conservation efforts in Sumatra because this data will allow researchers and conservationists to understand in what environments elephants thrive in Sumatra. There can also be future companion studies that go deeper into other details about Sumatran elephants, like the foraging habits they have and also the preferred habitats, which will all lead to their better conservation